Live. Dead. Something.
I
We
got
are on
excellent
YouTube.
connection on YouTube. It looks like we're streaming, and welcome everybody to the mintCast Roundtable. We're going to talk about some pretty important stuff here today, let me tell you.
Oh, it's probably
Yeah, probably Texas school board for the most part.
Yeah.
a lot of it.
How's it going, Josh? How you feeling?
Doing pretty good, thank you.
Good.
Although I'll probably be a little bit more careful about what I say now since we're broadcasting.
Yeah.
Wait, we have broads around here?
That's what I forgot to buy.
Broads?
Broads?
We're buying broads now?
No, broth.
Well, you can get anything you want in Texas. Jeez.
Right? I didn't even know.
Except in education.
My daughter wanted brats and beer brats, and I forgot.
I'm trying something new, Josh. Well, new to me anyway.
What is it?
The Youngling Hershey's chocolate porter.
Yeah,
And
I looked at that.
It tastes like Hershey's chocolate.
Oh, okay.
Really?
I have not had a chocolate porter yet that didn't taste 3 times as much hops just to cover the...
No, this is fine. It's actually got that chocolate aftertaste after you like shove a whole bunch of that in your face,
Cool.
and then you finally get it choked down your neck. You got
I
that
wonder if they
aftertaste.
still have that in the places. That was a winter brew, and it's getting to be warmer here.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a bunch of it stacked up at the mob ran.
They're trying to get rid of their...
store.
They're trying to get rid of all the chocolate that they harvested with all the illegal workers and children.
Yeah,
Never
Yeah.
had Yingling.
it's pretty
Looks
good.
like you're back home, Josh.
What's that?
Looks like you're back home.
Can't afford to go anywhere. Gas out here is over $6 a gallon now.
Wow. A lot of places here it's under 4. But not everywhere. It's still bouncing. There's still some places that want to collect the 4.19. It's all profit. Gas is not that expensive to them. The last time gas went over $4 a gallon, oil was over $180 a barrel. And it's not over $100 a barrel now.
I think
So
I've said
it's
this
all
before. We're still getting it cheaper than the rest of the world is. The rest of the world had prices like this.
Like
and-
Venezuela is paying like 0.025 cents
oh well.
per gallon.
Does anybody have a car down there?
I don't know, but I know that it's almost worth it to drive down there and fill up your tank.
I think my mom's got a car that would make it down there on 1 tank of gas. She's got one of those. What the heck is it? It's made by
Prius?
Ford. No,
Hybrid.
it's
The
a
hybrid vehicle?
hybrid. But I mean, she goes so long in between a tank of gas that she doesn't even remember where she got the last tank from. And I
I
thought,
filled
well,
up my pickup. I had 3/4 of a tank, and to fill it up cost me $47.50.
oh God, filling my truck up would be about $130 right now
That's terrible.
for my pickup. Now, when I got fuel last week in New York in the semi, that was about $970.
Oh yeah, diesel.
Well,
Yeah, for diesel.
Yeah, it's through the roof.
But
Well, as
Not
you
my
know, I
money.
drive a Mazda 2, and it has an 11.3 gallon gas tank, and it says it's empty when it gets down around 8 gallons down.
Yeah.
well, we ain't got nobody in the live chat yet. Don't look like.
Well, have you posted anywhere?
No,
You gotta share it.
we did it again, Moss.
What do you mean we? I'm not in charge of this business.
Freaking new here, man. And I plan to get shareable link. Is that
Remember,
right?
the other
This
podcasts...
Saturday, this Saturday show has been, well, since it really started. It didn't start that much before Moss left. So
No, it
he's
was
been
a little
doing it as long as you have.
Who, Moss?
Yeah.
Been doing it as long as
Saturday
me.
show?
Oh.
This Saturday show, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was not on any of the Saturday shows, and before I left, they were just starting them up, and I just had too bloody much to do. They were at that time we were having the staff meeting and then the Saturday show.
Well, this is the staff meeting / Saturday show, so we do need to figure out a topic for next week. Hopefully I can be on.
Well, Londoners
Nothing
here.
planned right now, but don't count on it.
I don't even think I've got the mintCast telegram.
Well, shame on you, son.
mintCast announcements at mintCast. That must be it. Well, 379 was the last one that got.
Yeah. I thought 379 was already out, and then I got it again.
Yeah, the announcements is for when we release on the RSS.
Okay.
We should put this in general. I mean, you can put it in show announcements. That's fine. But and then put it in the Telegram. So let me copy the link here. Copy link. Why aren't you in the Telegram?
I don't know. I'm in a few.
We kicked him out,
but
he's a negative influence.
The only telegram that came up in the global search was mintCast announcements. Now, I posted in the show announcements on the Discord, but I'll go ahead. You want me to put that in public too?
Do you?
Okay.
Public, general, whatever.
General's just us.
Oh, okay. Then public.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hearing that Ukraine has 20% more tanks than they had when the war started because they're all Russian tanks.
Yeah, they're pretty easy to get when they run out of gas.
Well, a lot of them didn't even run out of gas. The soldiers found out that they were in a war that they weren't told about, and they just deserted. They don't want to be fighting no Ukrainians, yeah. And then there's more that the Ukraine offered them the equivalent of $50,000 US if they lay down their arms, and they would turn them into the refugee camps in Poland.
Yeah, I'd be $50,000 richer.
Well, I can't find a page on Telegram other than the mintCast announcements, and I don't have the ability to post anything on that.
I think they said they had assigned 13 generals in the Russian military to this effort, and 8 of them have been killed. One of them, his own battalion ran over him. They didn't kill him. They just his feet were shattered. They literally ran over his feet. Yeah, the story had legs to it, and so did the general, but not feet.
Okay, Shell, the person I was thinking about interviewing for the next show, isn't going to be able to make it.
Joe, you beat me to it. I just posted over there on Telegram. Oh,
I'm
well,
trying to
duplicate.
figure out where the heck I'm supposed to be here. XDG open, yes.
I know nothing.
You know nothing?
I know nothing.
This is something. I tell you something.
My name Jose Jimenez. Nobody remembers Bill Dana, right? Nishant, is your mic working yet?
There we go.
Do we have a wayward Norbert?
Norbert said he wouldn't make it today.
Okay.
Is your mic working, Nishant?
Nishant just sent. I don't know.
He is shaking his head.
Oh, Nishant.
Well, you stick with Linux Mint, man.
mintCast. Nishant. mintCast.
You know, we've had whole shows discussing multi-booting.
Yeah. But if you can't make it work. All right, let me get off a Telegram here because it's. Multi-booting, he's made the comment multi-booting doesn't work for him. It only works for me when I do all of the partitioning myself.
Well,
That's what I usually prefer to do anyway. So
Yeah. There we go. I get rid of Telegram and my stream quality works great again.
well,
With
I
that
am
crazy
so
Russian technology.
non-technical, but you'd think that would get in the way of my multi-booting, and it doesn't.
What's that?
I am non-technical. I don't know what I'm doing, and I do it, and it works.
You say you're non-technical, but
I
I
have no
challenge
clue how to
that
turn on
premise.
OBS.
You followed along, getting a pie hole running with, I would
Got
consider
lucky.
minimal effort. Because if I would have tried to go through those instructions with any of my friends from work,
I agree.
Well, I'm not an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing.
There's a lot of people that are not idiots, but they wouldn't have been able to pick up on something like that.
Well,
So
I've
you might
been-
be more
I-
technical than you think, than you give yourself credit for.
Well, I could be, but there are so many things I don't know, and
Oh,
Me too. Good Lord.
Dude, I don't care how much of an expert you are, there's always going to be plenty more that you don't know in the tech field, especially in regards to Linux in general.
I have applied for I can't tell you how many jobs in
Well,
the computer field and can't
look,
get one.
That's because the computer field, first of all, you're running an uphill race because you're technically in the job field, you're just starting. And you're an older gentleman, which makes it really, really hard to hire you at the entry level for tech because they're expecting you to expect really high pay because of your age.
Well, I don't. Anyhow, I've been trying to get a job since I finished that PC repair course in 2005.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna poke at millennials here, but millennials like to hire other millennials. They like to bring people in that they can talk about their silly whatever it is millennials talk about.
Well, I can go into a computer store and say nobody has more experience installing software and installing operating systems than me. And I'll work for the same price as your college students.
And that all makes perfect sense, but it's unfortunately there's a human element to all this.
There's a lot of ageism
Yeah,
that goes on
big time.
everywhere in tech. Well, everywhere in the job hiring field.
Well,
But we do hire people that are older. The problem is we don't hire them for entry level positions.
yeah. Well, the other thing, Joe, one time back with the old crew, you were asking me, okay, do you know how to do this? I'm going, no. How about this? No. How about this? I can't code. I don't know IT. I don't know what a server looks like, let alone how to do anything other than push the on button.
Do you see that computer in front of you?
Yes.
That's what a server looks like.
Except without the GUI.
And much
Maybe.
louder.
Much hotter.
Yeah.
Server is a misnomer. See, they're talking about like business level servers, but anything can be a server. Your Raspberry Pi can be a server.
Could be. But I've never run one as a server.
You are right now. Your
It's a
Pi-hole is
DNS
a
server.
DNS server.
My modem supposedly will run as a NAS, and I tried plugging a drive into it to use it as a NAS, and it would not see the drive.
Well, you got to enable the Samba server.
I enabled everything I needed to enable.
Did you check and see what formats it would accept?
Yeah, that's another thing. It probably only accepts like master file table.
32 or something.
Yeah, with master file table with NTFS or something.
Okay, so it doesn't like ext4.
No, absolutely not. I can guarantee it won't like that, or ButterFS or XFS or.
Basically, yeah, the only thing that likes ext4 is Linux. That's it.
There's nothing
How's
yet.
the beer bill?
Nothing, Nishant. What's that, Moss?
How's the beer bill?
Hey, you know why I like it? It wasn't cheap, but it was. You can't even see through this stuff.
Well, I can drink regular Yuengling. I know people that drink black and tan, and I haven't even tried black and tan because I don't like the whole concept behind it. That it is a political statement, which I do not appreciate. Oh, I heard Nishant.
Oh, say something, Shant.
Hello?
Yeah, turn up the volume a little bit.
Yeah, turn up the volume, but
Crank
we
up the
hear
volume. Crank up the volume.
Hello?
Too much.
you. Yeah,
Turn it back
a
down.
little much. Yeah,
Hello?
There you go.
yeah, it's more black background noise than bad volume right now.
You got a fan or something on?
Yes, fan. Sitting in 35 degrees heat
Is that hot?
right now. Yeah.
What's that in real numbers?
90 Fahrenheit.
Oh, my.
Sorry,
Ah.
70 Fahrenheit-ish.
Oh, okay.
That's not
Peak
hot.
of the summer.
No.
It is hot, Joe.
I was
That's
waiting
not
on
hot.
Joe to...
What's that in rupees? Yeah.
Easy.
70 is not hot.
No.
It's 70 right now, and I don't even have the fan on.
No, 70 with a dew point of 70 and like 60% humidity.
35
that's-
Celsius is
yeah.
actually 95 Fahrenheit.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's hot.
Okay, 95 is warm-ish.
It is
It's
hot.
fucking
according to
hot.
Indian
I'm sorry.
standards.
No, it's warmish.
According to Indian standards, it is hot.
Well, according to the desert,
Hey, Bill,
not.
still running.
Yay. Wow, that looks pretty bare bones. You don't have a case for it?
It's got the Pie Maroni case.
Pie
It's a
Maroni.
case.
Okay, just give me 1 minute. I'll
See, it's
switch
got
to
a case
another
on it.
Workspace.
I'm wrong.
It's just a case that exposes
Hey,
everything.
hey.
It's
Oh, I
80
see.
right now.
Yeah, okay. That's actually not a bad idea, Moss, because I mean, more than aesthetics, you need cooling for these things. So
Yeah, and there's a cutout right over the top of the processor, so it just cools directly. Don't know if you can see that. The plastic case is cut out right over the processor.
yeah, I do see that.
Okay, just give me 2 minutes. I'll switch out Workspace. to a
Nishant, we
different
cannot
one.
go on without you, man. You've got to get this figured out.
No, it is. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
No.
maybe.
I have to just switch workspaces. I can't put the noise cancelling application as well as Discord on one
It's fine,
workspace.
Nishant. It's just a little noise, but you're coming in nice and clear.
Just talk when it's important, and you'll be
Yep.
fine.
Okay.
Because your voice is nice and clear. Okay. So, show topic. Oh, what
It's fine. Let's
We
go.
lost him.
Oh, the
All right,
technical
so-
debt.
Show topic. Y'all pick one. Oh, and who's going to be the host next time?
Well, I'm sure Norbert probably wanted to, but he's not
Okay.
here to claim it.
You can't count on me for the next month and a half, 2 months.
I got it,
Well,
Joe.
Well, I can do it too.
Josh,
I'm not
go ahead
the
and
first
jump
one
in
to
there.
jump out.
Feel free
I'm
to
not-
jump in, Josh.
I'm not
I'm
the
good.
first to volunteer.
He's loading a
because
gun.
I've been, just sort of hanging on here.
Okay.
Y'all
Playing
know
with
more than-
CDs.
Sounded like you were loading a pistol.
No, I was popping out a CD here.
Don't give me that mouse stuff. You're just a cat.
If
Oh,
I'm just
And
picturing
the
a
book
world where
banning garbage. Why do you want to ban books? Oh,
I can't believe anybody wants that. I'll tell you another thing that we passed that I couldn't believe anybody wanted was the constitutional carry law. I would expect this in Texas,
Oh,
but
Tell these
Yeah.
people that if they're complaining about cancel culture, they should stop trying to cancel the culture that the U.S. already has.
think of the children, Moss.
I think of the children.
the
They need to know
children.
things. They need to not be getting all the prejudices that their parents have. Hatred is something they get taught at home.
oh, and SEL and people thinking that SEL is bad.
But SEL.
social emotional learning.
Now we know.
I don't know anything.
Each company spend a lot of money teaching you all how to work together and handle stress. Instead of
It
just
doesn't
teaching it
work.
at the company level, we teach it at the school level.
So,
Basically, behavioral sciences.
why don't we teach these kids how to balance checkbooks and
That I or a home ec class that covers also balancing a checkbook.
Yeah.
Teach them how to cook. Teach them how to clean. Teach them how to balance a checkbook, and teach them how to do their taxes.
No,
Teach
we're
them how to
should be a
give
class
change
all
if
its
they're
own.
working at a store. These kids can't count change back, even though the machine tells them exactly what to give.
No, see, that's actually the problem. Is the machine tells them how much to give every time. They never have to do it themselves.
True story. I was at Taco Bell. This was probably, I don't know, 6, 7 months ago. And the kid had to call a manager over to count back 13 cents of change to me. He literally couldn't figure it out.
Because there weren't any dimes.
No, everything was in there. He literally didn't know how to count it back. They had to take a lady off the line that was working and bring her over so he could know what 13 cents was. She had to show him a dime and 3 pennies. That's the state of the world.
The kids to be stupid because they're easier to control. Easier to get them to vote for somebody who is not in their best
more
interest.
importantly, easier to get them to be well-rounded consumers. Go out and get your latest iPhone. Go out and get this new car that everybody's supposed to have, or let's buy
not be able to figure out how long you're going to be in debt because you bought the stuff.
But well, I mean, how can we take anybody seriously when it's the government? When they don't even take their own debt seriously. But this is a rabbit hole I don't want to go down.
That's because schools don't teach anymore. It's an indoctrination center. That's what it is.
I know I'm weird, but I was teaching my daughters binary and Fibonacci series when they were like 5 or 6. And it was a fun game for us.
Good old programming questions.
Oh, Nishant. We have no picture.
It's better that way. Don't fix that.
Oh. I guess you can blame me. Oh,
I was kidding. I was kidding. I was just giving you a hard time, man. Seriously.
Oh.
The reason I haven't been on shows since like last 4 episodes because I was on Windows.
Because you're studying for your exams.
Plus, I was using Windows instead of Linux.
The truth will set you free.
Yeah, we'd have given you a hard time about being on Windows on the show.
We would have jerked your chang-a-lang just a little bit. But Windows should have just worked, though.
Since I don't have hardware, like extra hardware, except one laptop, that's the reason I keep switching back to Windows. I mean, it's very tough staying on Linux without all these softwares, like alternatives.
You said you have an external drive. Oh, you haven't been able to boot from the external, so.
It's like live environment mostly, Ventor enabled.
I've got dual booting. Well, I got dual booting going on this thing. I got dual booting going on in my Arch box upstairs. My wife's.
Now I have a 1 TB hard disk in the other laptop. I think I can multi-boot.
That will dual boot. I don't know about multi-boot, but dual booting, when you do the partitioning yourself, works stellar. I don't have a single problem with it.
I just need to.
Your friend.
I just need to get a cell for that HP laptop. It's not portable. It has to be plugged in every time.
Well, that's all in my chocolate beer.
I'm going to go check and see if I got anything in my refrigerator.
Did it make you thirsty?
I'll just have to bring the fireball back in.
No, don't do that.
No.
I had this lovely bottle of mead that somebody got me that I should probably drink, but man, that's going to make for
I've had really good mead and I've had really bad
The
mead.
secret to mead is that you have to drink it at just the right temperature. It can't be too cold because it takes away the honey taste to it. And if it's too warm, it's kind of got a bitter, bad wine sort of taste to it.
Yeah, well, I know this guy, and he's not going to buy bad mead, so...
You know a guy?
Yeah. Well, I also know another guy that actually has his own meadery.
Yeah, I know. I have known 3 guys that brewed their own mead, and unfortunately 2 of them are dead.
You should name it #mead2.
Yeah.
The problem is mead is very, high calorie, and it'll get me ripped.
A lot of
really
sugar.
quick.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that's what you were working out for, was to get ripped
getting
really
ripped.
quick.
Yeah.
Well, different type of ripped. Different type of ripped. It will get me inebriated very quickly.
I thought you were saying the mead was a PED.
Oh, well, no.
You don't feel any pain. What do they say? No pain, no gain.
Yeah.
I do feel the pain the next morning.
Yeah.
I haven't been
Well,
ripped
the
since
gain
that day.
happens
Right
down at
there.
about the gut level.
Can
I think
relate
I
to
got a
that
contact
currently.
buzz off of Moss drinking that Fireball that one day when we were on here.
Oh,
That was a heck of a day.
Oh,
I fell up the stairs.
Jackie got me a couple of different bottles of peanut butter flavored whiskey.
Oh, I got some of that. What is that shit?
Screwball.
Yeah,
Screwball.
Screwball, yeah.
And blind squirrel.
And blind squirrel.
I love
Didn't you
that
say you
stuff.
preferred the blind squirrel to the screwball?
The blind squirrel is really good.
had that.
I don't know if I necessarily prefer it over the other one, but
I'm going to have to check into that.
They
they're
got
quite
Screwball at the
tasty.
grocery store, for crying out loud. It's everywhere. It's popular.
Well,
It's
they don't
super
carry
tasty, too.
alcohol at. They have wine and beer at the grocery store here. They cannot sell anything else.
Well, I've explained the intricacies of the liquor market in Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I was basically the same way when it comes to the liquor stores and the selling on Sunday and blah, etc.
Well, we just got, I think a year ago, we passed a law saying we can sell alcohol on Sunday.
We can have alcohol delivered to you.
Now,
yeah, I think we were doing that during the pandemic. I don't know if that's still a thing or not.
Well, I bet you could.
Oh, it is.
Uber
It
Eats
is.
or
Well, I mean, every state's different. It's like we're a whole bunch of different countries over here.
Just last night, as a matter of fact, and oh boy.
You have you a good time, Josh?
Not so much right now, but yesterday, yeah.
You want to? You got to pay to play, man.
Oh man, I'm paying. Trust me.
Getting too old for that.
Oh yeah, I knew better, but I did it anyway. It was that
I
kind of
don't know.
repeat work.
Would you suggest some laptops for basic office work?
Huh?
What configuration would you suggest for basic office work?
depends on your price range. Basic office work is easy, so
Like freelancing stuff. If
an
anybody wants to
HP
do.
Stream will do basic office work.
or just get a used ThinkPad.
Yep, that's what I would do.
If you're talking just independent office work where you're in control of what tools you're using,
Yes, freelancing. It's
yeah,
called.
well, then you can literally use anything for that. A Raspberry Pi, some sort of.
No, its specific requirement is for a laptop.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the power requirements to do something like that are really low.
This is old. It's an X220. I picked it up for $100 on eBay.
Okay, do companies offer like 70% discounted laptops from their stock? Because that's what one of my friends told me today.
If I'm working for a company, usually what will happen, if I need a laptop, I will walk in the door and they will hand me a laptop and be like,
No, it's like
"What the heck
that.
have you
Like
done?"
one of my friends' brother, like she told me that her brother's company is offering. I don't know whether it's discounted or it's depreciated cost, 70% of it.
It depends on what they're saying the original price was, one. Two, how many years it's been in use, and three, what condition it's in, because some of those business laptops get run through the ringer. But
Okay,
70%
she isn't
off,
sure
fine.
about that. 70% discounted on MRP or 70% depreciated. She's not sure about that, but it was 70%.
It sounds nice, but you're also coming up against the time where things are probably going to be starting to fall apart because it might have really been put through the ringer.
That's why I
But
think I'd look
I
on
like used
eBay
ones.
and look for something that's been refurbished. And
What
if you
I
get
think is, since they were returning to office slowly, I think the laptop stocks will be unused.
Almost
That's why they
every.
want to put it out.
Which is
Maybe.
why next month, when all the rest of my teammates and everybody else in my company starts going back to the office, I'll start keeping a close eye on Facebook Marketplace for laptops again.
Yeah. Or like
But
Joe told me, go by the universities when the term is ending. A lot of kids just throw their laptops out. At
I
least they
just
do over here.
suggested a two-in-one, like two-in-one with the foldable touchscreen, which hinges on its own.
There's a whole range of those that doesn't tell us anything. I mean,
It was a
the
Dell one, Dell Inspiron two-in-one
well,
for
then
basic
it's
office work.
probably decent or was decent when it was made.
But the model number makes all the difference.
It's coming with Windows 10 and 256 gigabytes of storage, 8 GB RAM.
Yeah, you don't need anything fancy for basic
Yeah.
office.
That's
Nishant,
more
you
than
really
enough
don't.
for.
Hey, Bill,
It'll do the job.
AMD
this is
AMD
the last
Ryzen.
model in the house.
Oh,
Drink it
Moss.
slow. Put
Yeah,
a straw in it.
Colorado Kool-Aid, the original right-wing beer.
That's what got me yesterday. Oh.
Coors? Got drunk on Coors?
Yeah, and
And
a bottle of rum and a few other things.
Oh,
and for myself, I'm looking for a rugged, well-built laptop which can last me 8 more years, just like the Dell.
8
Pat.
years.
If you want a laptop that's going to last you 8 years, you're probably looking at a gaming laptop that has the ability to switch as much of it out as
Um,
possible.
Bill, a basic Dell Vostro 3558 lasted me 8 years before hard disk failed.
I just fixed a Vostro
Linux.
for a guy.
Certified Linux business laptop.
Well, a ThinkPad will last forever.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
but
too
will it still be
expensive.
relevant?
Well, you don't buy a new ThinkPad. I've got my two
Like the T520, T540? I'm not sure what it is.
The new E14 is 45,000. E14 AMD Ryzen.
Yeah, well,
What's that in real money?
that's real money. It's just a lot of it.
It's a lot of it.
Yeah.
45,000.
Depends on exchange rate. $700 US.
I don't
Oh,
know.
so that's like a mid to low
45,000 INR.
Do you want to buy new, Nishant, or are you looking for a used one?
Used one, I'm not sure whether to trust it, at least in India, because they can tamper with it, right?
That's under $600. That's
What do you mean by tamper?
$590.
What do you mean by tamper?
I'm not sure if they sell with the original parts in India, because it happens all the time.
What, they swap out the hard drive and the RAM?
That's
Screen.
about $590, Nishant.
I look into that if I want to buy a AMD version, but if I want to buy an Intel version, I would look second hand.
Well, I have not spent more than $400 for a laptop for a very long time, and usually in the $250 to $350 range.
I have never bought a second hand laptop.
My last laptop I
always buy
bought was $360. It came with 16 gig of RAM, a GeForce GTX. That one I had when I first started here, I've got about $3,000 worth of parts in it now, but it had 2 hard drives, including an NVMe. On the used market, you can get a lot better stuff for a lot less money.
My Think Center was a refurb, and it's a desktop, but it's a little bitty thing.
We're not talking about reefer here, man.
You know.
But my Think Center
Oh,
M700 Tiny.
I thought we was talking about something
No,
else,
no. Was under $300. It's a i7 from 2016 and 16 gigs of memory. So
Yeah, if you find a quality reseller, and I mean, you can look at them on eBay or wherever you're going. I mean, generally they're going to have ratings, and people are going to let you know whether these are scams or, you know.
I don't
the
know.
legit
I love these. We've got like 7 pawn shops around Fort Wayne, and none of these people have any idea what they've got.
Even better, yeah, if you can find something like that.
Yeah.
that'd be less than 23,000 rupees.
Yeah, I look into it. Because before we used to get a lot of laptops which were Linux certified, like my Dell one. But nowadays I don't see much Ubuntu or Linux certified unless I get an XPS.
Basically any Dell machine, it might not say Linux certified on it. Any Dell machine is going to run Linux just fine.
Who's certifying these machines anyway?
Canonical certifies Dell, Lenovo ThinkPads.
Okay, but that's because they're selling these with Linux on them. No.
Yes.
No, some of the models are Windows, like the Latitude 5410.
Right,
it's
but
certified for Linux.
they also have an offering that they put Linux on, and I think that certification comes from Canonical when they put
Ubuntu on.
Yeah.
Ubuntu LTS. Mine was with an LTS.
I don't know if that's a good metric. That's my point. I don't really know if that's a good metric to go by.
You don't need to do that.
No.
Whatever distro I installed after Ubuntu, it worked pretty well on that Dell hardware.
I put an Ubuntu on an Asus laptop. It wasn't certified. I mean, as long as it's got a, Intel processor, that's going to work.
The only thing you might run up against is, with most systems, is your Wi-Fi driver. And almost all systems, that chip is replaceable. So...
Or you can just get a dongle to replace it.
I think nowadays you've got a real good, reasonable expectation that things are going to work. And the worst case scenario is that you've got to go with something like Manjaro or Endeavor, where you get the absolute latest kernel. Now that's if you've got like some super.
I love using latest kernels. Like whenever Ubuntu is lagging behind a kernel or two, I download it from kernel.org and then install it. And then run it using those dev images. Mainline dev images.
I have
Well, just get Arco Linux and you'll have the latest kernel anyhow.
And you went there.
I am on Endeavor. OS. I have the latest 5.
And Endeavor's no good.
you guys will never guess what's in front of me right now on my workstation.
Mint Mate.
Discord.
No, he meant
my
operating system.
On my work desk.
I really wish I didn't have to keep this G-rated right now. There's many guesses I could take.
A roll of paper towels.
Kleenex. Little bottle of lotion.
No, there is a 2017 MacBook Pro.
Running Asahi Linux.
No, it's not running. That's the whole reason it's on my workstation, taken apart.
A 2017 can run any Linux. It's only the M1s that you have to run Asahi.
No, you can run Asahi on non-M1s.
Well, yeah, you can, but you can run any Linux on a non-M1.
Okay. Which Mac is it? Intel?
I have no idea.
I
It's
don't
a
want to know
2017,
anything
it's
about those
Intel.
things.
No, those are a pain in the butt. Everybody says so.
Yeah, somebody dumped basically a whole bottle of bubbles on it.
Oh,
That's just Darwin. That's just an extension of some kind of Darwinism or something.
Josh, if you have to be putting MacBook up your butt, it's going to be a pain.
Wait, it's gonna be expensive for sure repairing it.
Oh, stop,
I believe
Moss.
I just got told to turn it sideways.
Moss, if you own a MacBook, be prepared to cough more money for it in terms of repairs.
I
and
don't
stuff.
see
I
Moss
do
buying
not
a
buy.
Mac.
I do not buy Apple equipment. Period.
I don't either. Had a big, long fight with my
So-
oldest boy yesterday about Apple stuff because he's a self-proclaimed socialist, right? I mean, like one of them holding the picket sign type socialists, and yet he's got the latest iPhone.
Yeah.
I said,
So I have this fight. Like, if Linux works properly on a M1 MacBook, I'm investing on the most basic model of an M1 MacBook just to run Asahi.
Well,
I don't know if that's worth $1,000
no,
in US
because you can
dollars.
buy three regular laptops
done it.
to do the same kind of. I mean, if you need 20 hours of battery life, go get a Mac M1.
No, Bill, what I said is to run specifically Asahi Linux.
Okay, but
on
what are
it.
you going to get out of Asahi that you can't get from a $300 laptop running Mint or something, you know?
No, in India, people buy Apple just to show prestige.
Do you need to show prestige, Nishant?
No.
I don't need to.
I can... People can take
Don't
their
need to.
prestige and shove it where the sun don't shine.
If you do a job interview and you're not running Apple, your boss will think that you're thrifty.
Huh. Whereas...
It's not that. As a Linux enthusiast,
You know,
I
where
want to
if
try
you go
Apple.
somewhere where everybody's using a Mac and yet the place is paying minimum wage, then you probably ought to turn around and leave anyway.
What do they use at Red Hat?
I would
ThinkPads,
hope
I
they...
think. They use ThinkPads. Matthew was talking about it on Real Presence.
Yeah, ThinkPads are the #1 business machine.
And they've got a
they're
good
great.
Linux track record.
And parts are easy to procure, so you can replace just about anything.
Okay, one more question. If I have an IBM ThinkPad, will the Lenovo guys check on it? If I have
Not
any issues?
IBM anymore, Lenovo.
The old ones were IBM.
Yeah, the old ones. I'm talking about old T430s. Like, if I
Okay.
want parts, will the Lenovo guys, we can order from Lenovo itself?
Or the T430. A whole lot.
Because on the Lenovo website, it shows that this product no longer available or supported.
Well, the product is no longer available because they
Yes, dear.
stopped making it a long time ago.
Yeah.
But
Hello.
that doesn't mean the parts aren't available.
Nishant said hello.
Hi.
This is the ruler of my universe, as
Oh.
you can see.
Yeah.
Is she inches or millimeters?
Well, right now she's inches, but if I stood up, it would turn real quick. She's the only one of her kind in my family.
Is she the ruler or is she a full yardstick?
Right now she's just a ruler because I'm sitting down and I'm still taller than her. Yeah.
Bill, grandchild or child?
This is my youngest child. I don't.
Oh, okay.
I have a 30-year-old, but he doesn't have any children. And then I've got a 28-year-old, and he doesn't have any children either. But
Oh, okay.
this is my. I've been
And
married
so you
twice.
traded them in on a new model.
I did
Sorry
it
for the
all
question.
over. No, it's
Sorry
fine.
for the question.
No, it's fine. I remarried later in life and had children all over again. So
Yeah,
I gotta
I've been
hold on to
married
this
a lot
one
of
until-
times, but I only had children from the first one.
yeah. So this one right here is the only female. She's got 4 brothers.
Okay. So, Bill, how is the truckers going on? Sorry, I haven't been able to catch up to those podcasts yet.
Oh, you know what? We're doing pretty good on that show. I think our second show had 151 views, and then it goes down progressively as the episodes get newer. And then the audio only versions. We've actually got a listener in Ukraine. If you can believe that. That's a lot of
Go
responsibility. Yeah. I'm picturing a bunch of people huddled around a phone listening to 3 Fat Truckers while they're being bombed or something. I mean, that's probably not the reality, but that's the level of responsibility. I
Show them
feel.
Ruskies how you Linux, buddy.
Yeah, because I do have some metrics on how that works. Of course, we got somebody in England. I assume that's Tony that listens to us.
I seen some of you guys' shows.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, the audio on the last show was really good too.
Was it?
It really came up. I
Okay.
could listen. I listened to it in my garbage truck actually.
So what we ended up doing, I gave up on the concept of trying to do the separate, discrete audio feeds like we do on mintCast, because that was just a level of complexity that those guys weren't. Well, because we would do the 3, 2, 1, and then record, and then wait a few seconds and do the 3, 2, 1, and then what one, if not both of those guys were doing was just out of nervousness, they were hitting the record button again, whereby stopping the recording. So I'm just, and all of that.
Don't touch your buttons, Charlie.
Yeah.
Leave
I
them
tried
buttons
to-
alone. Just say the words.
Audacity was really messing them up, so I tried to switch over to GNOME Sound Recorder to try to make it a little simpler, but the concept of having to do that and then upload it and all that, it was stressing them out to the point where it was affecting the quality of the show. So I thought, well, I'm just going to just stream it to the show and then use YouTube DL or something to download it, and then run that through Audacity, and that gave us a good enough. Because if you're not going to cut into the whole thing, I don't know. It seemed like it did a pretty good job. And then I added some normalizing effects to it and all that to kind of make it a little louder.
Yeah, it came out pretty good.
Yeah, I was happy with it this time around. It's been quite a learning experience because I didn't know how to do any of this stuff before.
And I still don't.
It's one of those things where once you learn it, it all seems kind of, I won't say obvious, but it seems intuitive once you get used to the workflow. But until you do that, it's like learning a foreign language, I guess, because it's a whole different type of computing that I've just never been into before. So it was exciting. But
just learning to do Full Circle Weekly News was a strain for me.
Yeah.
I never did my own editing.
Well, I'm still not to the point where I know how to effectively remove pieces from within the feed and then add in bumper music, between segments and stuff like that. I'm not to that point.
Oh, well, that's easy. That
Yeah.
part's easy. Leo gave me all the stuff he had, and all you have to do is in Audacity is just import audio, and then you line it all up.
Yeah, well, that's like in the beginning and the ending. Yeah, that's no problem. But just putting it in between, where we have a little bumper music in between our segments.
You just split the segments and you spread them apart and paste the music in where it
But is
lines
that
up with that.
is that after you mix the and render the individual audio feeds together, or?
Well, I don't know how to mix audio feeds. Okay, probably yes. Probably you mix them together, you save them as one stream,
Right.
and then you go dick with it.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I figured.
But what I
But then
do
also-
while I'm listening to it and cutting stuff out, I put the separation in and I just paste the bumper right into that separation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the easy way to do it, but it seems to be faster and it works for me.
Well, I mean,
I
it
have
has
the
to.
bumper already cut, and I just get to that part and I split the video, and I just make the split and I do a paste and it pushes it aside by itself.
Yeah. And then you've got the complexity with mintCast. You got 5 or 6 people, and then you have things you've got to cut out of each individual person's audio feed.
Well, what you don't have to actually cut those. You just mark them and you hit Alt L and it silences them.
See, you're already now. You're the guy that says you're not technical
You don't want to cut because then you're messing up the timings later on.
because it draws the two. What'll happen is it'll pull it into the space. Okay.
If you do Alt-L, it just silences that bit.
Okay.
You mark what you need to be not coming out, and you just Alt-L.
Yeah. That's a whole lot of time-consuming work.
And that's
Yeah,
probably
well,
why
on
Norbert's
Full Circle,
standing on a balcony right now.
Yeah.
on Full Circle Weekly News, I have to cut everything because I only have 10 minutes to get it all in, and I even cut my breaths.
Okay, we still need to figure out the topic.
We don't have a topic.
Okay, so what do you guys think about my? I mean, not for the next week, but for the upcoming episodes, like get Matthew Miller on board for interview format, if that's possible.
Absolutely.
Matthew
Love
Miller
interviews.
is a good person to have on. I've heard interviews with him in the past.
Did you see the link which I posted, the Red Hat Enterprise Linux Presents podcast? You can check that out. And I found him very calm and like chilled out when it comes to podcasts.
If you guys hear a crash and a grunt, don't worry about it. It's just me.
Yeah, we know.
All right, I'm starting on my warm up.
So he's my, like, I spoke to him in the first social hour which I attended. They have every week a small get together of all the contributors, and people discuss Fedora over there.
Yeah, if we can get him on, we've got to have time to organize an interview like that. He's going to want a list of the questions that we're going to ask him, and then we have to have had time with him to know what his responses are going to be, so that we can have our discussion ready. So that's going to be some.
But what I saw from the official podcast is he just came on and he was just answering the questions. Like he wasn't
I
even prepared
suppose
for
we
it.
could do that, but I would prefer to sound like we're a little bit more organized, If
That
if
is the
that is
official Red
possible.
Hat. That is the
How
official
long have
Red
you
Hat
worked on
podcast.
Slackware? Yeah.
Fedora, not Slackware.
Yeah.
He's the project lead of Fedora project.
So Norbert's got some. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but what was it yesterday? He listed 3 things, 3 possible ideas for future shows. One of which being, if you were to build your own distro, what would it be? What would be the base, the Confalt fig, and what software would you include?
It's already done. It's called Mint.
No, it's called Fedora for me.
No,
Nope.
nobody makes mine.
I think there's already a Fedora podcast. I think I've heard that name somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is, and it's still ongoing if you want to listen to it.
What are some specific niche use cases that Linux is better at than other operating systems, and that might be relevant for you?
May I answer this? Servers and containers and all that security.
Yeah,
stuff.
that is an interesting thing that Linux is good at. I mean, this is all because Linux
It's pretty good at.
owns the server space.
For me personally, using Fedora, it's like I can do system administration on it, which is a good use case for.
Not having to
Desktop
pay
Linux.
hundreds of dollars for Microsoft software.
I agree with Moss on this one.
I don't know if we
yeah.
could turn it into an entire topic, but I've seen a lot of coverage going around about Linux Mint rebasing on Debian, and there seems to be, there's
Mint has
always been
always
kind
been-
of a push, but
So I think LMDE is a proof of concept of that
yeah, it
same
is.
thing.
But I'm talking about trying to do a show on
Proof
it where
of concept
we could give
is
our
what
opinions.
something you do once and then show the
Right.
world that can be done. Linux Mint has consistently maintained a Debian edition, and they've
And
done
the-
it really well.
And the fun thing is that there is getting to be more and more backlash against Ubuntu, so it
That's-
might be that
And
they've got
it's-
several years already ahead of everyone else.
And Mint has been doing it for at least 10 years that I'm aware of, because they were doing it before I switched away from it to use Mint in the early 2010s.
And there's already a fork of LMDE2
Arch.
that has KDE and XFCE.
And now
Desktop.
with Flatpak, it's not about the software anymore.
So do you
Okay,
guys think that could
my
be
second-
drawn out to be an entire thing, or is
It'd
that
make
just
for a short show, which we need.
yeah?
I need to try it so I can know what I'm on about. But
Yeah,
It
I actually have it
basically-
running, and I don't like Debian, generally speaking.
did they just offer it in cinnamon? Is that the only way you can get it?
Yes, that's the only way.
That's interesting.
But you know
But
what else
they
is
say
interesting?
that they make it easy to add other desktops on.
What I wish they do is make it like Debian Proper's installer, where you choose the desktop. And I mean, it's just the Mint themes are just GTK themes. They ought to work just as well on anything as they do on Cinnamon. I mean, they work well on XFCE and Mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be
I haven't-
interested to see how
Josh
well-
Hawk said that he ran LMDE5 and he switched it to Debian testing. And he said all of a sudden Cinnamon didn't work or look like Cinnamon, it looked like Mate.
Interesting.
Which
I have a
he
question
objected
here.
to.
But
and he
was
took
it
off his
still
system.
Cinnamon, though?
I don't know. He objected to the way it worked and he took it off his machine.
Wow.
I have a question here. Like, I'm still stuck between Fedora, Arch, and Ubuntu. Based.
On the mintCast.
Well, that's why
I
we
like
multi-boot.
Mint, no doubt, but it's due to it being LTS, the kernel is way too old sometimes.
You can update the
for my
kernel.
hardware.
You can
And there's
I can-
something interesting about LMDE, and I didn't know this until recently. They actually have the back ports enabled by default. So through the command line, you can actually get the 5.15 kernel on LMDE, which is more advanced in terms of versioning than the base,
Now that's
even with
interesting,
hardware
too.
enablement.
Well, I just reviewed Zorin OS Professional, and when it installed, it had 5.11, and in the first updates, it went to 5.13. So it's maybe not the newest, but it's newer than long-term support.
Today I downloaded an ISO which had 5.16. I think it was Endeavour OS. Or, no, it was Arco Linux. 5.16.
I think
off
Arco's
the
on
bat.
5.17 now, isn't it?
No, it's on 5.16. Arco Linux
I'd have
D,
to go
I
get
think.
my
So
laptop
this
and look
brings
it
an
up.
interesting question. Why is it do we think we need the latest kernel version?
If you're gaming,
Hardware.
there's your first answer.
Okay, so gaming. There's one answer.
Hardware compatibility.
Okay, but
major.
we're buying. We as Linux users are buying less than brand new equipment
Yeah.
usually.
No, I
I
bought.
have not yet had a situation where I couldn't run the 4.4 kernel and be happy.
Well,
It's not
this-
about you. It's about people like me who buy AMD and stuff, the latest generation.
have you ran into a situation where like a stock kernel was not new enough to run a piece of hardware that you've bought?
Linux Mint 5.4 kernel.
Okay, well, Linux Mint has a kernel update utility built into their update manager. Did that not
Bro,
work for you?
I didn't know that before.
Or
I
you can
didn't know that
download
before.
Edge, and you get
They
5.13
don't have-
right off the bat.
Yeah,
This is
Linux
about-
Mint does not have all the kernels, but they have some selected kernels you can upgrade to.
Get a hold of you.
This was before I started. I used Linux Mint for the first time. I didn't know all this on this laptop.
And Ubuntu has the full manager version of that, where you can update to any kernel.
It's a little more fumbly with Ubuntu though than it is with
No,
Mint.
what I do on Ubuntu, I download the kernel deb package and then I install the latest kernel. Mainline. They call it the Ubuntu mainline.
Okay,
PPA
but then
from
is
the
your
launchpad.
package manager picking that up and then building the right modules it needs when you
Yeah,
When
when
you-
you have to get
when you
DK
install
on
them.
this.
Yeah. Yes, it is. But it all depends on the NVIDIA driver support for that kernel, I think.
And mainline won't have the Ubuntu specific patches in it either.
Yeah, I just like tinkering around with the kernel, to be honest, on any distribution, not only Mint or Ubuntu.
because right now on Mint I'm running 5.13, and I had to
Are you
update that
using-
when I bought this because I needed that to get the hardware acceleration to work.
Are you using Edge
No,
ISO?
no.
Then how did you update to 5.13 from
Because
5.4?
they're- program
There's
manager.
there in the update
Oh, okay.
manager. You go into what is it? Let me see.
View.
Sorry
into
for
Update
forgetting
Manager.
that there's an update manager.
Yeah,
in the
Update
kernel.
Manager, then go into View, and then right there is Linux kernels, and then hit Continue after it warns you, and then you've got a choice over on the left of 5.4, 5.8, 5.11, and the 5.13, and then all of the point releases over on the
Isn't
right.
5.8 EOL by now? End of life? 5.8?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
It's
supposed to be
5.4
end
and
of life.
5.13 that are supported right now.
5.11's end of
Okay.
life too.
Yeah.
So is 5.13 a which one's an LTS?
5.4 is
5.15.
LTS.
Okay.
Says 513.0-37 supported until August 2022. So that's not LTS.
No.
Yeah.
5.15 is LTS.
Well, they don't have 5.15 yet.
So I think with the release of Ubuntu 22.04 LTS, we might have 5.15 on it.
But what are you getting from that? What are you getting that's not working right now?
So sometimes what happens is on Nitrux, my Wi-Fi card wasn't working. Then I found out that it was a bug. So I got the updated ISO and then it was working fine.
You're
Based on
relying on
Debian.
Nitrix?
I was just trying it out,
Oh.
the Maui kit and all that fancy
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't know about stuff like that. I only put in a virtual
And
machine.
5.4 is LTS.
Yes.
Yeah, it
And,
must be because
It had 5.10 of Debian stable. It's
And
based
let
on
me
Debian.
say, Nishant, that unless you really need it to, because you have newer hardware, I've been playing games on both Manjaro and on Mint, and I'm not seeing any performance difference. If it is, it's within margin of error.
Okay, I'm not gaming on Linux yet.
Okay, well,
As of
then
now.
you
then
there
you
goes
certainly
that.
don't need the updated. I mean, if you got
Yeah.
everything working and you've got
If you're not going to
security
game,
updates,
you don't need a new kernel.
Yeah,
Actually, I love tinkering around. Testing new kernels, how they're working. So that's about
But
it.
if you're not going to game, it doesn't make a difference. The kernel is the kernel.
Yep.
Okay,
As
so
long
if
as it
I'm on
runs everything.
Pop, I would definitely love to game, but on Arch, I can't install NVIDIA drivers and make it stick.
What have you? Well, my Arco installed the NVIDIA drivers easily, and actually has a meta package for installing Steam that just 5 seconds and you're in Steam.
I would wait for gaming on Linux until it becomes super stable. On my Steam library, most of them don't run.
I don't even have a game controller, so I don't know why I loaded the Steam package.
It's okay, Moss.
Okay, so back to the show topic. Let's
back
Show
to
topic.
the topic at hand.
Yeah,
We have a
Because
topic.
No, we don't have a topic.
that was my.
Well, how can we get
submission.
back to the topic if we don't have one?
Back to the figuring out a topic.
Oh,
Back to the deciding on a topic.
the topic is
Back
the
to
topic.
the you guys deciding on a topic, and I just listen. I mean, back to us deciding on a topic.
So we're being topical, are we?
We're being very topical. Kind of like that cream you got in your medicine cabinet. For topical use
yeah.
only.
No, it's
We
just
won't say
regular
where it
whipping
goes.
cream.
Yeah. Oh.
Whipping cream
I
can
guess
be
that
topical,
could be topical. Yeah.
depending on your mood.
Oh man, there we go.
Oh, I feel like this
Leave
is
it
all
to
my
the
fault.
truckers.
Who's listening?
Londoner.
Hopefully, just us.
Londoner's on the chat.
Hey, Londoner.
Hey. Yeah. Sorry you have to slum it with us today.
Well,
Slums are where it's at, man.
gosh,
Yeah.
you know, I look forward to this all week.
And it's good to be back on mintCast.
It's good to
at
have
least
you
for the
back,
Saturday
Nishant.
Yeah. We need to know how things are where it's dark in the world.
It's fine.
Well, so what do we think? Do you want to pick from one of Norbert's? Like I said, I
Yes.
don't know if we could stress a whole.
Oh, I didn't read the
LMD.
third one he put. Okay, so his third one is tips for how did he write this? Tips for how to make switching between distros and setting up a new system easier. I'm not big on distro
You
hopping.
reboot.
Well,
Or take a backup of the home directory.
We've done a show on, that first time boot, what do you install? But that was a while ago, wasn't it, Moss? That was probably 2 years ago or something. Where we did, what do we install when we first load up a new system?
Well, that just gives me another opportunity to talk about SoftMaker Office. But...
Yeah. I mean, if we want to do something like that
Tell me
again,
again,
especially
Moss, is
since
that open source?
mostly it's a new crew.
Nope.
Okay, so
But it's a third the price of Microsoft.
I recently discovered that the most important tool if you're on BTRFS is the snapshot maker or something, automated
And how
snapshot.
many of us are on ButterFS?
I tried using it. I've got ButterFS on a whole bunch of stuff, and I just can't. Snapper I don't know.
In Arco, it worked very fine. I updated it and then it was taking automatic snapshots
I've just never needed
every
it.
update.
I've never ran into any problems with it, so I haven't had to do any rollbacks. I wrote a script, actually, that would create a snapshot every time I would do a system upgrade. And then that went on for like 2 years, and I never needed to use a single one of those snapshots, so I stopped doing it. So that's probably now is when it'll all blow up in my face, probably. But
Well, I know it's really confusing which version of Arco to be using, but I've got Arco Linux D with Mate, and it's so stable and so comfortable that I could replace Mint with it.
oh God, stop it! Let me look up Arco.
The problem is there's like 7 different levels of Arco. They want you to start out as a beginner and then learn how to really be an Arch user.
So what's the difference between this and?
Okay, so Arco Linux B is the bare bone minimum system which you will get, and you have to set it up, I guess.
I'm on D with Mate.
What's the difference between this and Endeavor or like, I don't know.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. If you're running Endeavor or Manjaro or Arch, you are going to have fun using Grub, especially if Mint is controlling Grub. We had to go over that in our last show, if you remember. You have to actually get into the Grub configuration file and make changes in it before it will boot.
Okay.
Arco, you don't.
One thing I've never done is try to boot more than one Linux partition off of one machine before.
No.
It's always been just like one Windows, one Linux.
I
I
have
just
had up
keep
to
mine.
12.
I keep mine on
tried.
separate disks, and then
Yeah,
just hit the interrupt button, and let each distribution's grub control its own thing.
Well, I mean,
And
virtual machines work if you're just trying out Linux distributions.
Never used a virtual machine.
I mean, that's a good way to spin it up and then get rid of it without having to mess around with your partition scheme.
I have had up to 12 Linux distros on one machine.
Lord have mercy.
I currently
How do you
have
sleep at night, Moss?
Well, sometimes I don't, but it
Moss,
has nothing
please
to do
teach
with
me.
my Linux.
Please teach me how to boot 12 distros so that I can partition my 1 TV
that's what
HDD on the
keeps
HP.
That's
Well,
you and
the
Moss
thing
right
is-
there.
Linux, I have yet to have a version of Linux that, you keep all of your personal files on an external, and so you don't fill up that disk. You don't need 20 gigs for a distro. And if you've got a 1 terabyte,
Yeah.
you could put 20 distros on there without any problem, except for messing with Grub and having to do 20 different distros updates.
And
So 1
I currently
terabyte-
have 5. I've got my T540P has 5 distros on it with 2 SSDs, 2 on one and 3 on the other.
And this is why Moss has a bottle of Fireball handy at all times.
No, I do not use alcohol.
well, if you've got a
Linux.
1 terabyte drive, you could, in theory, give
It's like
10
931
distros
available.
100 gig.
Yeah, and you don't need more than 20 gigs for a distro.
No.
Unless
I've
you're
just
putting all
never-
your personal files on it, and then those are locked to that distro.
I just don't know why anybody would need more than 1 Linux and 1 Windows.
No, because
Well-
that is gonna be my test bed.
But that's
for these
where virtual machines do.
Number 1, I love the way Bodhi Linux runs.
Bodhi Linux runs fantastic on a virtual machine.
But there are times when I have to get work done and I can't figure out how to do it on Bodhi. So I have Mint. And I need to have at least one distro for tests.
So,
One partition for testing.
topic.
Because I have a distro hopping podcast, you know?
Okay, so for a test bed, would you recommend multiple distros on 1 terabyte HDD? Because HDDs
1
are
terabyte
stored.
is plenty of room. You'll be
I am
swimming.
always going to recommend, if you're
How-
talking to me directly, virtual machines when it comes to testing. And if you're going to do virtual machines, do KVMs. Don't mess
actually-
around with
actually-
VirtualBox.
Well, on
Actually-
Distro Hoppers Digest, we require that you install it on Metal and run it for a month. To do
Actually,
your
since
review.
I'm getting into more involved in the development world side of it, so I think bare metal would be better in that case.
There are a lot of distros that run in the VM that don't run the same or don't run at all.
The
when you put
difference
them on
between
Metal.
running in a KVM, the difference between that and running in VirtualBox is in a KVM, you are using virtualization technology built into the kernel itself, which gives you a pass-through to the bare metal. So you are very, very, very close to the bare metal. And if you have the right machine, you can even use GPU pass-through, which allows you
I have
to...
a GPU, but I never tried that. Too risky.
It takes some configuration. It takes a little, looking into, but KVM gives you a very close to the bare metal experience, enough to where I can reliably say that if something works on a KVM on this machine, then I know it will work relatively well on the bare metal of that machine.
But whatever test cases I've seen so far, they recommend bare metal installation on Fedora.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who's making those recommendations.
It's the project, like bare metal performance is better than virtual machine performance. in
My
terms
whole
of
idea is
testing.
to
What are they
find
basing
distros
that
that
on?
anyone can use, and to know that it will run on your computer, I have to actually be able to install it.
They're basing it on the fact that some bugs cannot be produced on a virtual machine, like different reports.
Well,
So they
like
tell-
VirtualBox requires you to run something in a virtual environment within a software environment. So you are actually, the hardware requirements are, the very hardware requirements themselves are virtualized, are on a software level. They're abstracted away. Whereas with a KVM,
No, I think.
what?
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
With a
I think-
KVM, you're a lot closer to the bare metal, and it's a lot more comparable. But okay, that being said, in Moss's case, where he's literally, he's got to go on record by saying that I installed this distribution on this piece of equipment, and that's part of the process of him breaking down the system. Then I can understand why he would have to do it that way.
Well, once you start saying I assigned this number of cores, you've already lost your new user.
Yeah. I think in your case, where you're literally making a podcast where you're talking about how good this distribution is on this piece of equipment.
No,
yeah.
I'm actually going. I don't know why I started that YouTube channel, but it's not working as of now. Like I have to review distributions and stuff alone. I'm like very much shy to come in front of public.
You mean like on a podcast?
On my own podcast, like
Oh.
single, one man.
Nishant, for your purposes, I would highly recommend getting a T560.
Okay, I would
The
look into that.
T560 has a low power dual core i7. If you get the i7, it's still a dual core, but it's low power. And so it'll have longer battery life, and it has 2 batteries in it.
Okay, I look up that Moss.
Is that 4 threads?
Yeah.
I look up that when I get that time.
It's a 2016 model, but it was the first Ultrabook that they actually produced.
So,
and-
can you explain me the business model, how these ThinkPads end up? Because last time we discussed this, I didn't quite understand. Somebody was saying that
Businesses
they
buy
throw
them new. businesses buy them new, and when it's time for them to cycle them out, they have an insurance model that says that every X number of years, usually 6 years, that they decide to get rid of them, and they pass them off to refurbishers. The refurbishers make sure they're in complete working order and sell them off for half to a third of what the original price was.
So I think the example which I told you today, like probably it could be off MRPs or the 70% depreciated cost, or that
Yeah.
could be. So I
Yeah.
just have to ask her whether they're giving it new or old.
Well,
Because
you
if
just
it's
ask,
old,
is it a refurb? And the T560 is going to be a refurb because they only made it in 2016. That's
okay,
what the 6 in it means was 2016. The 5 in it means it's got a 15-inch screen. Now you could get a 460, which is a 14-inch screen.
okay, three. Yeah. There's no three.
Make sure it has an i7 processor, and make sure it has 16 gigs of RAM, and you'll have everything you need for the next 8 years.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Otherwise, there's always the newer AMD Ryzen.
And like I said, what I paid for mine was about the same as 22,000 rupees.
I got that Ryzen 7 in this thing, and I'm digging it.
Well, I'd love to have a Ryzen. I can't afford one.
Tony bought a Ryzen 9. Was that what he was talking about on your show,
Yeah,
Moss?
Tony bought a brand new
Lord
Juno.
have mercy. What's he going to do
I
with
told
that?
him to buy a Juno. He's going, well, I don't know of any British manufacturers out here. I go, isn't Juno in England? He goes, oh, yeah.
Juno,
and
as
he-
in the small one,
and
the
he
small
bought a
PC
Ryzen
which he
9.
was discussing about, the small box.
Yeah, it's the
PC, if I
smallest box.
remember.
It's not as small as my tiny.
What do you think about small boxes? If I want to get them, I would have to probably get a monitor as well.
Well, you'll have to have a monitor. You'll
This
have
is
to
where
have
I
a
turned
keyboard.
my mic off.
It's okay, will happen.
I was thinking the same. But
I know you were. Thank God for
Yeah,
the small
I was
boxes.
right there with you.
yeah,
Well, again, I got a
There's-
refurb
3 out of 5.
M700 Tiny Think
We're
Center,
sick. We're sick.
and that was under $300. So
This show is so much fun.
Stop, Joe.
Oh God.
I'm still trying to answer Nishant's question. I have no idea what
Sounds
color.
really big on those little boxes.
Oh, jeez.
Well, if it fits, it fits.
PC boxes.
That's what we were talking about. I don't know what's on your
What's on your mind? Gee whiz.
nasty.
Oh,
If you're nasty.
If you're nasty
Bill,
and
what
you
is
know
that
it,
you're
clap
drinking?
your hands.
Nishant, I also highly recommend getting a toaster. And I don't know what they call them over there. It's a
Which toaster?
well,
They call it the
unfortunately,
toaster.
the toaster that I have apparently is no longer available. I tell you how to get
they're
one.
external hard drive docking stations.
There you go.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but
Okay.
the good toasters also have extra USB ports and SD card readers and writers.
Oh,
I
you're
would
actually,
look into that. I would look into
I thought
that.
you were actually talking about a toaster.
I would look into that so that I
It's
can
always
connect
good
it
to
to
have a
my
toaster.
laptop. So I
Yeah.
can even connect it to my laptop and
Yeah,
use
you
it.
can connect it to anything. Here's my toaster.
Okay.
Wow, that looks all very technical.
It's not technical. I plugged it
That
in and
is
it worked.
technical. Look, man. You've got...
And it's got a micro
It's not
SD
technical.
writer right there. That's where I wrote my card for the Pi, right there.
Right.
It's got 2 USB 3s here. It's got 2
So
USBs on top.
You DD'd an image onto a drive, and you're not technical.
He's got 2 SDs plugged into that. Let me see that again. You plug the SDs into the top of it?
Yeah, and it's big enough that you could plug a full size hard drive into it.
That's cool.
It is.
Where'd you get
It's
that?
a way. I got it on Amazon, but it's no longer available. Damn it! It's a Wavelink, WAVLINK. Trying to get to where I can see the model. HDD docking. Model is ST336A.
So it's just a USB.
Yep, it's just a USB
okay.
extension. You just plug it in, you plug the power in, and you're good to go.
/ docking station.
So today, when I met my friend, she asked me what you will do with 2 laptops, and I told her that we run a beta OS on one and we run a stable Linux OS on one. So I just explained all the process of how the development works.
Is
Bill,
that what
do
you
not
tell all the
Google-
ladies? Huh?
She's my friend, and she's in IT field itself.
Oh.
I was just gonna say, do not Google docking station.
Okay. Okay. I won't Google it.
I don't know what you might get back there.
I don't have Google. I got DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, that's better. Anyway, so topic?
So yeah, DuckDuckGo
We don't
gives
need
you
no
technical
stinking
stuff.
topic.
Josh, I just got the normal SD card docking station on Google.
It would be a good, like, interesting
You guys are tempting
exercise
fate.
to, like, start a show and not have a topic and just see where it goes organically.
I think we might have done that once.
I feel like we could pull it off.
We
Should
probably
I-
could just start talking about random crap, just like this. It'll be an extension of our Saturday show.
Yeah, didn't we do that one time? We didn't do an entire show on it, but we just kind of had that free-for-all, kind of unformatted section. I think we did it for innards.
What I really like is audience input on things like that.
Well, it was difficult to get audience input when we didn't have any show output.
Yeah.
Just give me 1 minute, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Well, I
Press the phone jack.
posted the link to the company site for that toaster,
Okay.
but I can't find it for sale anywhere, even eBay.
There's got to be
Okay,
something
so-
like that out there, though.
There are other things that don't have all the ports, but still have the dual. You can find older wavelengths that have the dual SSD or hard drive ports, but not all the stuff on the front.
People talk down about the USB thing all the time with storage, but I think, for God's sake, if all you're using it for is just a backup or like a Nextcloud server or something like that, it's plenty fast enough.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
this thing also is ultra quick at cloning a drive if you want to do that. Just one button clone.
How long ago did you get that, Moss?
Well, I was on mintCast at the time.
I think it was like 2 years ago.
So it's not that
Probably
old,
2, but
And what are you using it for?
I use it just for my external storage.
Just storage that you're constantly hooked to that you...
Yep,
Okay.
that I can use from any distro I'm booting to.
It's a good idea.
That's interesting.
I also
then you
have one of the drives also includes my my backup thing, whatever they call it, mint. Time shift.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That way you can just go through and completely destroy your distro if you want, and yeah, no damage done, really.
Yeah, one drive has time shift and my music and my videos, and the other drive has all my other stuff.
Have you ever done a restore with time shift?
I have once, and I have also failed twice.
You wait a minute.
I really think RescueZilla is a better option. You can literally make an ISO of what you're using in RescueZilla.
Or if you're using MX, they have their imaging tool to do their ISO.
Using a what?
MX.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've tried using MX a number of times. It's not getting better.
Is that what you're using, Josh?
On my laptop, I've been using it for, I think, 3 different version numbers of it now, and it's always been fine for me.
I've got back to 17.
Yeah, I think that's where I started.
Let me see. I can actually tell you what I'm back to. Oh, I don't have Speedy turned on. Let me turn on Speedy.
I'm back.
Yes, you
Nishant,
are.
my God, finally.
Wait, you left?
No, I'm back from getting my charger. I didn't leave.
I've got MX15 on here, Josh.
Oh, that's before my time with it anyway.
X15.
MX.
MX. I got MX15, I got 18, I got 19.2.
I have the 21
I also have
AHS.
I also have 19.2 with plasma,
That's the Debian thing, right?
and I've got 21.
Still get a 32-bit ISO.
Yeah, it's based off of Antics, and yeah, they still do a 32.
It's a mix of Antics and
Mepis.
yeah, Mepis. Simply Mepis.
And one thing I like about MX is the anti-system D boot up.
Well, that's one
Why do
thing
you
I
like
don't
that?
like about it.
The anti-system D boot up?
Yeah, they're on the Devo bandwagon.
Okay.
Yeah, it uses sysv init by default, but it does have system D built in it, and you can set that to be default. But,
Right.
But
Tell
out of
me-
the box,
Tell
it's
me a
system-
good technical reason to not use system D.
Because people on the internet say it's bad.
There it is.
That's it.
I don't know why it's bad,
That is
but
not
I think,
a technical reason, Josh.
but I think OpenRC.
The technicals I
OpenRC
can get with them.
Okay, my experience with MX so far, I found sysv in it to be faster compared to system D on boot up.
What are you doing with that extra 3 seconds, Nishant?
Focusing on system administration.
Oh.
The problem comes when you have applications that need to hook into System D. Now, they do have System D shim in there to help with that, but sometimes applications don't play real nice.
Especially when the developer
but
only
Josh-
writes the system D services, or the system D, whatever the heck.
Josh, do all the server things require system D?
What's that?
Like if I'm going into system admin and I want to learn a init system, which one would you recommend?
System D.
System D,
System D,
yeah,
yeah.
everybody uses it. I mean, only a
So,
couple distros
GNOME
don't.
requires it, outright requires it. in
I'm
order to
talking
run.
about like server operating systems. Are on
Same.
system D
System D?
mostly?
It's the same. Red Hat, System D, Ubuntu, System
It is a Red Hat technology, and
Yeah.
Okay.
and it was made by Red Hat to solve a few problems that OpenRC and sysv init was having. Don't ask
How
me what
old
they
is-
were, but
And Upstart.
Upstart, yeah.
How old is system V? Is it from the Unix day?
No,
System V init?
it's a Red Hat project, so it's gosh, I think it's only 10 years old, 11 years old.
Oh,
No, it's older than that because Arch had it by default. Arch had just gone to it by default when I started using it in 2013.
so Arch now has choices between all these.
Well, you can, like, if you get into Arch and then like change it over, you have that ability, but it's a bit of a faff, and it's not the recommended method of doing things. And in fact, you'll be diverging from all of the documented methods of doing anything on Arch. You'll be having to rely on like third-party documentation in order to get anything work. But yes, there is a way to get Arch to work. Probably the easiest one that's in that caliber would be your Gentoo. Just because Gentoo is able to, you've got that choice at install time to go with either System D or I think their default choice actually is OpenRC. I think most of their wiki is written around OpenRC. But as far as Arch goes, they've kind of went full on long time ago with System D, because it is an all in one tool for your init system and your daemon management.
Yeah, come on. I mean, timers versus cron jobs.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
I mean, some people, you're going to have people that are just obstinate just because they don't like anything new. And it does, to be fair, it breaks the Unix philosophy of one tool for one job. You know, and I think that's the problem some of the neckbeards are having with System D because it's more than one thing. It's one thing that's doing more than one job on a low level. So I think that's a lot of people are not real comfortable with that. But I think we have modern problems to solve that need solutions that are a little bit
Well,
more.
LibreOffice is not one tool for one job.
Good point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on how how you come at the argument.
Right. I think there's pragmatism, and then there's the Stallmanite.
And
Right.
I like that the Linux ecosystem has room in it for all of these things. But moving forward, we have the new technologies, and we're able to move forward with that. Although I would argue some of these new technologies, I don't really know how far in down the rabbit hole we'd want to go with a discussion like this, but I worry sometimes about the new package formats like the flat packs and the snaps. I feel like they are perceived outside of the community as just more fragmentation.
Hey, what? I think that could
the Linux philosophy is shot down just on the basis of the kernel itself. If we had a microkernel, that would be closer to the Linux philosophy.
What was you getting ready to say, Josh?
I was gonna say we could probably use this right here as a show topic, honestly.
The package formats, yeah.
Well, or just new Linux, technologies and
the new technologies and how they've impacted.
Yeah, how they've impacted. Yeah,
the narrative. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys like that?
Yeah, I like that.
Not sure how I would write it up, but
Okay, so it's next week, right? Possibly I won't be available next week for the show.
well,
Nishant,
Friday-
you're not here, Nishant. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do,
Friday
Nishant?
I have an exam.
We'll just cancel the show. We can't have Nishant.
I'll try my best. Friday I have an exam, and then after that I don't know if it all depends on the result of that exam.
Well, if you don't show up, we'll just cancel the show.
I'll try my best.
If it doesn't go well, just get hammered and then come on anyway.
Because it is something I've been thinking about a lot.
FHS is a very vast topic, the file hierarchy system.
Because I
We'll
feel
take
like the whole thing about
1 week is not enough, I think, to understand the
We
FHS.
should talk about System D.
Yeah, we'll talk about System D, but I also think the flat pack and snap thing, although it was like the purpose of it was to reduce the amount of fragmentation perceived by people outside the community, I wonder if it did more to add to the fragmentation.
I
Because
don't know.
It definitely did.
I think it's coming around. People
On a
are
technical
getting
level.
off the Snap bandwagon,
image,
even in Ubuntu.
Flat pack.
because you can't sell these things on the technical merit. You have to be able to tell a company that wants to write software, this, because you can't say one thing's better than another, and it's still two formats that you have to make packages for, and that's the exact same problem they already had with debs and RPMs.
Well,
And although I think
Ubuntu is
Flatpak
now
is-
set up to run flat packs by default, even though they prefer snaps, but they do include flat pack by default.
And that's interesting too.
And I'm thinking that, a lot of people are out there saying that Flatpak's kind of slowly winning the war. So, and I think they're right.
I think they're right,
Flat
but they're
pack's winning the war.
Yeah.
I think there's some logic
there
in that.
is a
but
war,
the problem is Flatpak up to this point does not have the corporate backing that Snaps do. Snaps has got people hired by Canonical whose job it is, their only job it is to create dialogues with companies that are wanting to put software on Linux, but they're not sure how to do it. And they're working with these people. And then the developers that work for Canonical, their job is to work directly with these software vendors to put their software in the Snap store. And Flatpak cannot boast that same thing.
Yeah, I
You're
would have
right.
thought that Snap was winning just because Ubuntu made it standard and then shifted it to the background so you don't really see when you're installing a Snap.
So, I mean, it depends on who you ask, because I think Flatpak has probably won the philosophical argument, being that it's a bit more community oriented. But the problem with Flatpak is that whenever you go to Flatpak looking for a piece of software that's proprietary and it's not put in there, so you go to some sort of Flatpak forum and you say, hey, can anybody tell me if there's anybody working on a Flatpak for insert name of package here, and the first thing you're going to get is, well, why are you using that? Why won't you use Matrix to talk to your company? Well, because my company doesn't use Matrix. My company uses Slack or something like that. Is there a Flatpak for that? Well, you need to talk your company into using this other thing that's open source or whatever. That's
not helpful.
It's not helpful at all. And I think those are real things that exist that I don't think there's anything we can do about it. It's never going to go away because it's just an unfortunate side effect of an open source ecosystem. But it's something we have to contend with,
Well, I think there is a delineation there too. Snaps are obviously geared towards more of the enterprise side.
Yeah.
And I think the Flatpak, their philosophy is more desktop oriented.
So there's a good argument that we need both of these things.
Right.
Probably.
And now someone was just on Twitter, it might have been Resington, that was saying that, yeah, it was. So on his, Ubuntu install, he said it transitioned him over to the Firefox snap, and he said first boot of Firefox was 45 seconds. That's not going to cut it on desktop. I mean, I know it launches faster after that.
It probably had to rebuild an entire cache and config file and all that. Whereas before he was just, I think he was literally for a lot of years just copy and pasting his Firefox config over to his new.
Oh yeah. He's
his new
to
installation.
That.
So you're going to get a lot more speed at boot time.
Yeah, depending on how much crufty you got in there, but
right.
If that's going to be like that on a brand new install, clean, if it's going to take 45 seconds, even if it launches a little faster the next time, I mean, that's a pretty considerable wait. And I think that people that don't care about the technology, they just want to launch their browser and get to looking at something, they're going to have issue with that.
It's just I think we would be more comfortable with the argument if the goal of all of this was actually being achieved. I mean, the goal was, well, we have certain software vendors that don't want to distribute software on Linux because the ecosystem is seen to be fragmented, and these universal packaging systems will be the answer to that. Well, okay, we've had this for a couple of years now. We still don't have Adobe. We still don't have Microsoft Office. So the things that this was supposed to solve is still not a reality. Most of the things. There's a few novelty things. I call it novelty things because there's really not a good way to get it going other than snaps in the Snap Store. But for the most part, most of the software that's on either one of these stores can be installed another way on almost every distribution out there, including your Firefoxes and your Chromium and Chrome and all that, I'm wondering if we're actually seeing this new packaging format being the solution that it promised to be,
Well, I think there's definitely still some technical issues that are going to need to be ironed out.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if there's going to be one winner or two, or if all three are going to thrive, but
I think as long as Snaps remains to be such a canonical only thing, I think we'll always have at least two. I think most people in the beginning thought that this would be a war between the two and there was going to be one victor, and it doesn't seem like we're any closer to a reality like that than we were in the beginning. We still have three that the same projects that went full on in the beginning with one of the three are still steadfast on the same one they chose in the beginning, like Etcher, one of the best apps out there for writing USB sticks, is only available on an app image to this day, Yep.
That's fine. It can be installed at least.
Yeah. It's available on the AUR, but that's neither here nor there. So a lot of these things, They
To be honest, there's a distribution which only promotes app image usage. I forgot that distro's name.
which ought to be fine. I think. I think we ought to. I think when one thing wins a battle over another thing, Linux kind of
I
loses.
I want to see Linux dominate Windows in the next 10 years.
Do you really want to see that? I mean, consider what our ecosystem would be like if we were the one thing that was on the machines that are being sold at Walmart, and suddenly we have to provide a product that is consumable by normal people. Now, we have to make it simple enough, which means we have to abstract away a lot of the things that brought us to Linux in the first place.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying I'm not normal?
I am.
Go.
Are you saying I'm
I
not
am
normal?
gleefully saying nobody on my screen right here that I'm looking at is
Hold
normal
on.
in terms of
One
technology.
more question.
I resemble that remark.
How many sets of 295 pounds should I do today?
Is that normal?
I have no
Most
clue.
people have enough trouble getting out of bed
What
in
the
the
hell is
morning.
normal?
Yeah. Nah.
I mean, normal. I mean, you know, when in this context, the word normal. What are normal people? People that want to be able to go and buy a thing and just take it home and expect that thing to work. And they wouldn't consider changing the operating system on their computer any more than they would on their toaster. So, you know, that being said,
You know, new or
Oh, we're
used,
back to
as soon as
toasters
I get
now?
a computer home, as soon as I get a new to me computer at home, you know what the first thing that happens is?
you're probably wiping it or yeah, something along that lines, and that just that that firmly removes you from the category of normal
Right.
in any argument.
And that
We
also
need-
puts a huge target on Linux as well. I mean, you can say goodbye
Yeah.
to security through obscurity.
Yeah, you can say goodbye to that for sure. Which
We need more awareness for Linux outside of server world. There's so much more potential in the kernel.
The problem is Linux takes work, and nobody wants to work.
yeah, it requires you taking responsibility and action over your own equipment. It requires you treating this piece of equipment more like something you're probably not used to thinking about. You know, most people are used to thinking about their computer the same way they would their TV or their washing machine. You know, I bought it,
Right.
I want it to do this thing. You know,
Most people already have a job, and they don't want more work, is how they would see it.
absolutely correct.
I don't even want that work.
And the thing about Linux is that we got in the beginning days, we kind of how was we
Then
drawn
how-
in? How was we drawn in? I was drawn in by okay, I've got this old machine that I can't afford Windows anymore, and here's this thing with all this free software, and then I get it working.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Isn't maintaining Linux on server hard as well? Then how come Linux is dominating the server market?
Because it's
over
not that
Windows?
hard. I challenge that premise.
Look
That
at
it's-
this. Look at these certifications which they have made for system
Well,
admins.
I would.
It's like
Okay, so
But
like
no,
man-
no, you're making an assumption there that Windows Server is somehow easier than the work you have to put into Linux Server,
I wouldn't
and
even
that's
know
really
the
not
first
true.
thing about the Windows server.
So it's the opposite in the server world. You mean to say?
Yeah,
I don't know anybody with a Windows server. Do you?
No, I'm asking Joe. He's like,
I've seen it in the past. You really don't see it a lot anymore, but as recently as a couple of years ago, I've still seen some Windows boxes that were being used for what timing applications, essentially, to launch scripts. I mean, they
That's
were
about the only thing I've seen.
really, really old scripts that were had to be run from a Windows box. But yeah, they're not easier to maintain than a Linux server.
And you're also talking about the difference between server admins who are technical people versus the normies that are grabbing the computer at Walmart and taking them home.
And it's
the main reason that Linux hasn't taken over is because they don't have hardware companies that are saying, yeah, we want to put out Linux machines.
but what about Dell, who worked with Canonical to put
They
out
hide
Linux
it.
But they
machines.
sell those to developers, though, don't they?
Yeah,
they
they-
literally call it the developer
You
No,
have
edition.
to literally
machine
know
which I
where
bought-
the page is on their website to order one.
Yeah,
That's right. That
The
is 100%.
machine which I bought 8 years ago, it had that Ubuntu sticker on it, and that's why it was much
But
less.
But
if you
it's
were to
not
buy
the
it
normal.
brand new, they literally call it the developer edition.
They sell
I
less
did
of
buy-
them. They're more expensive.
They're more expensive. What the hell is that?
They should be cheaper because they're not paying the Windows tax.
Right?
No, 8 years
Right.
ago on Amazon, I found it like by chance just browsing for laptops.
Because they're not making them in the same kind of bulk.
And
Right.
Yes.
if you go to the companies that make Linux laptops, they cost more because they're higher spec machines.
And by the way, do you think that it was made because it's got a sticker that says Linux on it? Because I've got a Linux sticker on all my laptops that say Linux.
No, it was Linux certified. I made sure
Oh.
to cross-check with the canonical website.
Well, yeah, I
before
mean-
buying it.
They sell a lot of laptops that are Linux certified because they do put Ubuntu on them, but they also put Windows on that exact same laptop. So
I haven't seen like that. If it's Ubuntu sticker, they will put Ubuntu on it as a preloaded machine.
but they do
Their
make them
laptop.
like that, but they don't market them to regular people
nowadays
because they
it's
would
like-
have to. I don't think they would
nowadays
have to. They wouldn't want to provide the same type of support.
But it's a business laptop. Would you believe it?
Yeah.
Pro series is a business laptop which was running Ubuntu at that time.
But
8
if you
years
walk
back.
into a store,
I'll be right
Krishna,
back, guys.
and you look,
My brain
you're not
cells are
gonna
fried. I'm
find.
about to go here.
Yeah, that's Josh. That's correct. You will find only Windows machine in a store.
Yeah,
I experienced that too. But that was the one of the rare laptops which came with Ubuntu at that time. You had to search for it. You had to go to the Canonical's website and then search that model out, and then you get a link where to buy it.
hmm
So a lot things have changed in 8 years, I believe.
Headphones.
What's up, Moss?
Well, he wants me
So
to.
Joe,
He wants me to ship his headphones to him,
Oh,
and that power
so
supply.
Joe, you were saying that I was assuming that
Oh, yeah.
Linux is tough. Linux system admin is tough.
No, you're assuming that Windows Server is easier than something like Ubuntu Server, and it's really not. Especially in regards to like security flaws, because all the security flaws that you get on Windows Desktop show up on Windows Server, and those updates
Okay.
are a whole lot harder to push through than any of the Linux updates.
Okay. So I was just looking at the course which we have to go through LPIC 1 to LPIC 3. That is, that's why I assumed Linux would be tougher.
And Linux is also extremely scalable. So-
Workload scalable?
Huh?
You
It's
mean to say
extreme-
workload wise?
Yeah, it's extremely scalable. You can add things to it, you can remove things from it, you can do a minimum all the way to a giant build if that's what you need. And then as you grow, your Linux can grow with you.
I guess we lost Moss. So
Yeah, he did wave, and it seemed like he was getting ready to go.
Okay. Well, did we settle on something? I don't know.
I don't know.
The new technologies, the newer stuff.
Ask Bill, he's in charge.
Okay.
don't everybody talk at once.
I just lift weights here.
Oh,
Well, Moss dropped, and I don't know that we have a solid topic pick. Did we decide on the new technologies, or
yeah,
are we
that
going?
sounds good to me.
So what are we covering with new technologies?
Let's cover the System D thing,
System D.
and then
GNOME
The
42?
package formats.
Write this down in the in mintCast crew general. So when I ask tomorrow, I can just go look.
I got it.
Can
What?
we also cover GNOME 42, which released
I don't
this
have
week?
Norm 42 on anything.
And GNOME is not a new technology. That's been around for a long time.
I mean, not new technology as part of the what portion was that where we discuss new releases?
New technology, System D.
Yeah, that could probably go in the news.
Yeah, put that in
Yes.
the news, Nishant.
Yeah.
And then you can just go to town on that if you want.
Yep.
Because I haven't even seen it yet. Flat pack.
I am still waiting for it, but the Fedora 36 beta looks promising with the GNOME 42.
New
I have
tech-
used it.
I
It's a bit-
tried it.
System D, flat pack, snaps, and app images.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Okay.
There. I put it in the general.
Okay. So there we have it.
Oh, I haven't been paying attention to the chat.
No.
So we've got a Marlon Bruno. He wants to know. Scratch and consumer personal computers. Okay, I guess I thought he was asking a question, but it looked like he was just carrying on a conversation. And like I said before, anybody that's listening, you know, if you have ideas for topics for us to talk about, let us know, because
Sure.
you know we kind of do this as a hobby. We enjoy talking to each other about these topics, but you know we're just as interested in talking about the things that are interesting to our listeners. You know, the people that watch.
Yeah, we're a bit of an echo chamber.
We
here,
are,
so-
because we're using this stuff every day to do
Everything.
everything
Okay.
we do.
I'm pinging the crew here to let them know you posted the topic.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'll be dropping off. I'll have food and then I'll go take some rest. It's been a busy day.
Are you going to be here next week or not, Nishant?
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Depends on how the LPIC one first paper,
Sounds
first
good.
exam goes.
Good luck.
Thank you. See you around.
Yep, we'll see you.
Bye bye. Good night from
Guten
India.
Nacht. Yeah. Just spoke German with an Indian accent. That's great. Yeah.
That works. We are truly international. on
We
this
are
show.
international.
Oh my. Okay. So, despite all the derailing, I guess we got something accomplished.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think if somebody was like sitting here watching this, they would probably want some interesting content, I guess.
Now then, why are they watching this? Yeah. Oh, good Lord.
Oh, Lord.
Yep.
So I've got, for anybody that's interested, I've got episode 4 is streaming tomorrow of 3 Fat Truckers, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be
Nice.
talking about, among other things, because this is just like us, you know, conversation tends to spawn other conversations. And one thing we're going to be talking about is some of the TV shows and movies that had truckers in it, or that were kind of centered around trucks.
Oh man, that's gonna be awesome.
Um,
Eyeballing.
Admittedly, it's been a long time since I've seen any of them, but the other two have seen quite a few more than I have. And then we're going to talk I guess we had a request about pets in trucks, which we said we would talk about anything the audience wants to talk about, so we kind of have to, but none of us has ever had a pet in the truck that I'm aware of. I know I haven't.
The only movie I can think of that, or TV show that I can think of that really had like a truck in it was like Knight Rider.
Oh man, there was let's see, Maximum Overdrive,
we didn't-
That's a
Convoy.
movie. Maximum Overdrive was a movie.
Oh, you're
we're talking about
shows.
movies
TV
and TV shows, yeah.
Okay.
You kind of have to go
Specific.
back in time a little bit with that, because it's you
Yeah,
know,
the best ones were made back in the day.
70s and 60s, you know, the
So
Convoy.
the obvious ones: Smokey and the Bandit,
Yeah.
1 through 16.
Yeah. Convoy, Highballin'.
one we had in the 90s, Black Dog, My God.
Black Dog, yeah. Oh, what
was
was
that
the
Swayze?
Stallone one? Over the
Swayze,
Top.
yeah. Over the Top, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we was just before the show today. I was on a Jitsi call with those guys, and he was reading down some list somebody made on IMDb of all the trucker movies out there, and some of the stuff was just off the wall. But
Duel. Yeah, Duel
yeah.
was a great one.
Maximum Overdrive, and then what was it? Joyride.
Joyride.
Remember
Yep.
Joyride? Candy Cane.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
But I haven't seen any of these things in years.
Oh man, I got most of them on DVD back there.
And the best of that bunch was definitely Maximum Overdrive.
Maximum Overdrive was quality.
Excellent.
That was
Yeah, that was a fun one.
that was old school. That had one of the
Emilio Estevez.
Emilio Estevez. Yeah,
as an ex-con.
Mm-hmm.
that was one of Stephen King's stories, wasn't it?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think
I think that was his
course, if you told me
directorial
Stephen King-
debut.
Yeah, if you told me Stephen King made a book about, a lamp that came to life and started killing people, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Instead
was-
of It We Have Lit.
We've had far fewer movies like that in recent days than we used to.
Yeah,
Well, because now your appliances actually do come alive.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
IoT, baby.
Talk shit to you, yeah.
I give it right back. I let Alexa know where she stands every morning.
Marlon, he said Taxi Driver. What was that one about?
About Taxi
Oh,
Driver?
Taxi Driver? That's, that was Pacino,
Al Pacino.
I believe.
Yeah, but I don't think that was a truck movie. That was literally about, a taxi driver.
Okay.
Yeah, who was not a real nice guy.
Now, Repo Man, at least they got a tow truck in there.
Oh,
They did.
Repo Man, yeah. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if there was any decent, like, pseudo...
Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
He was a truck driver.
Yes. The beginning scene of Beverly Hills Cop where he's, like, swinging out of the back of
The cigarette truck,
the
yeah.
cigarette truck.
Right.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure it was a great topic, but I guess we're going to make do with it.
You can do a lot with if it's TV shows and
Yeah.
movie, you can do a lot with it.
What was the one with Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez where they were garbage men?
Garbage Man?
Was that the name of it? I don't remember, but it didn't really center around truck driving, but there was that aspect in there.
There's a bit of drama in Fort Wayne about the trash collection right now. We just had we've had a problem over the last couple of years with the company that we brought in. We did a bid, and this company out of Texas called Red River won the bid, and they way lowballed on the bid. And by law, we have to take the lowest bidder no matter how low it was, and it was a ridiculous number that it was unsustainable. And they literally have messed up the they've literally messed up the contract
Hello?
from the beginning. Yes, Nishant.
Sorry to disturb. I just thought going back.
Come on back, Nishant. What you got?
Uh, Nothing like how did you discover Linux for the first time?
Oh, wow.
Sorry, I was just browsing.
Well,
some
that's a good
things
question.
on
I'm
the
trying to
internet.
think exactly. I don't remember really. I'm sure it had something to do with needing something for free, and then that turned into just the rewarding experience of getting this technical thing working. But I could not tell you an origin
It was the
story.
year 2000.
Oh, let's have it.
Oh no. I was living in the barracks, and my roommate was. I think he was running Red Hat. I think it was Red Hat.
Uh, did your unit
You
use
were in a
those
very different
latitude?
barracks than I was in.
You got to remember that there's a couple of years difference between when you was in the barracks and when I was in the barracks.
They just was. I mean, people had computers in the late '80s, early '90s. Just
Joe, did they?
none of the barbarians I was in with.
Do they still use those latitude rugged in the army?
I don't know.
What?
Dell Latitude Rugged Extreme
I don't know.
laptop.
They were using like HP desktops when I was in. I was in like 99 to 2003, so
Oh
that's
my!
20 years ago.
That was my baby sister's time. Yeah, I was in from '90 to '94.
And I was still in Germany before you.
Because you were born there, right?
No, I was born in Alaska.
Okay.
I don't know how many
I
people are
started
still.
kindergarten in Germany.
Well, where were you at
And-
exactly in Germany?
Herzogenaurach.
Okay.
So somebody was telling me Dell doesn't do Ryzen, and then I'm seeing Alienware M15 with a Ryzen chip, which is Dell.
I don't think people even go to Herzogenaurach anymore.
I don't think
Uh,
there's
Joe-
a military installation there anymore. I looked up like several of the 8-10 places I used to go when I was there, and they've all been given back to the Germans. Because it was all just occupation after World War II that we ended up eventually giving back. And that was part of the point behind what I was doing when I was there was Operation Retrograde. We were shipping all of the ammo that we had been stockpiling since the end of World War II. We were trucking all that up to the ports in Bremerhaven to be put on ships to be sent back to the States. Huge job. It took us from the late 40s to stock these places, and Clinton wanted it all emptied out in 4 years. I don't know that actually got done, but I know I was done in '94, and I had my fill of it. So
I need to make a correction real quick because Londoner did correct me. In Taxi Driver, it was De Niro, not Pacino. I always get those two mixed up.
Okay, so a question. Do you? So one of my friend just used Arch Linux, and he started hating Linux for no reason. I don't know what to answer him.
well, if
Who
you're going to
uses
use
Arch?
if you
Who
use
uses Arch
I
as a
do.
beginner?
I do, because I can take Arch on the road and I can start up my Arch box, and I don't have to worry about it getting on and checking for a bunch of things. in the
But then it
background.
crashed for him. It crashed for him.
Well, then
and
he
then
did
he
it
started.
wrong.
He started hating Linux overall without trying any other beginner-friendly.
You're
You know,
distribution.
I found some versions of Arch to be really, really good in the short term. And then I'll put the computer down for a month and then try and pick it back up again and
Oh, yeah.
update will brick.
You have to if you leave an Arch box. There's a couple of things I recommend people do if you leave an Arch box sit for a long period of time and you don't do the upgrades. The first thing you're going to want to do is update, before you do anything else, update your mirror list to a version of that mirror list that is current, and then update your Arch Linux keyring, all of your GPG keys that all of the
Oh,
developers
actually,
have.
he was a first-time user. I wouldn't recommend Arch.
No, you don't.
anytime.
Arch is not something anybody who's new to Linux should be messing around with at all, even like Manjaro.
Yeah, any rolling distro is
Gen 2.
probably
Yeah,
not a
Gen
great
2. I mean, I don't know why people steer curious people
And
towards
I mean,
these distros.
I'm like,
It's
what
not
the
a good
hell?
idea.
I'm like, what the hell? You spit hate on Linux? No way, I'm taking that.
I think for anybody that wants to learn, though, if you've gotten to a place where you think you have a good understanding, not just of how Linux works, but how your boot process works, how partitioning works. That's another thing. Understand what partitions are needed to
I
get.
was like, fine, you stay with your Windows. You don't need
You
to
know-
come over to the Linux side. I got frustrated at that point.
You know, this would make a really good innards topic.
The problem
saying.
that people.
Oh, we got a topic.
No, the Arch in general, but the purpose behind what we would use Arch for, and
Yeah.
how to do things like recover when you have a bad update, or if you've let the computer sit for a month or two and need to be able to get it running again without doing a full reinstall.
Yeah.
You know, Tony said that he left, I believe it was a tumbleweed box,
Open
and
source.
he let it go for a while, yeah. And he said when he booted it, it updated just fine. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
happy with
interesting.
it.
Tumbleweed has
I
got
had a Garuda that wouldn't update.
Garuda is a lot closer to Vanilla Arch than like Manjaro is.
So is Endeavor.
Endeavor is Arch. I'm sorry. Endeavor is, you install Endeavor, what you're getting is Arch with a unofficial repository added for a few of Endeavor has a couple of really simple GUI applications that simplify the updating of the mirror list, and then gives you kind
Yeah,
of
I like Endeavor
But-
for that reason. It's
Yeah.
the closest you can get.
You
to
know the best
vanilla
thing
Arch.
about Arch? The absolute best thing about Arch,
Wiki.
it's not Linux from scratch.
But I would love to take the LFS challenge sometime if my computer can
gosh,
compile
I don't
it.
know when in my life I will ever have time for Linux from scratch.
Linux
Arch.
from scratch is just a book which you have to read through to install it.
Arch,
That's what I've seen.
but you have to do all that compiling, though. I don't even. I could install a Gentoo box. I could do it.
I'm
wouldn't be a
I'm
huge
gonna try
problem.
out Slackware 15 first
It's
to
just
see how it goes.
The time it takes to do all that compiling for what advantage nowadays, with computers being so overpowered in relation to what they were in the old days. The advantage you get to the little bit of customization you can get from compiling with Gentoo.
Did you guys ever watch English Bob
No.
on YouTube? Okay, well he's does a lot of Linux content, and he was using Peppermint for a long time.
I like that.
And he asked, and I mean, it was so fast on his machine, and he said, how fast is fast? What, I mean, are you going to get down to milliseconds to compile all this junk? And
Okay, so-
it just seems silly.
My AMD chip compared to the Intel chip is more faster in compilation.
Yeah, but they're all
Observation.
going to be pretty close. I mean,
They're
as
gonna
long
be
as you're
close
talking about,
enough to where you're gonna sacrifice at one end of the spectrum.
Okay,
You
so
might get
Ubuntu
1 second load time faster with something that's compiled with all of the necessary configurations for your hardware. You'll get 1 second of advantage at start time, and for that 1 second, you will have sacrificed an hour and a half of compile time every time there's a major release upgrade.
That's why Arch says that go and grab a coffee while it's installing.
That's why Arch, even on the AUR nowadays, a lot of the packages that have huge compile times, somebody's made a binary available on the AUR.
Okay,
for a
so
lot of
question.
stuff.
I have a question here. So, do you have to review package builds every time on Arch? Because some distros have that package build, and you have to review it in Vim before continuing.
You don't have to. I mean,
installation.
there's I use
Some
a tool.
distros.
I use a tool called Yay, and it gives you the option of reviewing the package build when you do your upgrades or when you do your installs, and it defaults to no. So when you just hit the enter button, or you pass the
No, for me it shows yes or no. If I click no, it won't install at all.
right, but when you hit the Yay tac uppercase SU to upgrade your whole thing, and then you append the tac no what is it, no ask or something like that. It'll just go through all that without asking you. It'll just assume that you just don't want to be bothered with it, and you can literally just do. I've got a script I
that
run
helped me
called
learn a Vim command.
yeah, I've got a script I
WQ.
run called full up, and that script will do a mirror list update. it will update the repositories, rebuild the repository indexes, and then run the updates on the repositories, and then it runs the updates from the AUR, and then it runs all of the development updates. Like if there's not an update on the AUR, but if I've got something installed from Git, it will update if there's been a major change from the Git repo.
So it's doing those in order. So you're taking care of dependencies first from the base.
Yeah, you
Right.
have to do that because the main problem you'll run into with Arch is if there's been a toolchain update or a dependency update, and then the package in the AUR has not been updated to accommodate for that, which we saw a lot when the Python 3 thing was going on, and a lot of packages were, and a lot of distros were just completely removing Python 2 from the repositories. Well, I mean, that was a huge job for everybody to keep up with. So there had to be some overlapping period. But if you had a package that was relying on an older version of Qt or Python, and then you had this big update on your main system, but then the package in the AUR didn't get updated, then that package in the AUR would not execute. So you got to know when those kind of things happen to rebuild that package from the AUR. I mean, that's the thing about Arch, and it turns a lot of people away because they really don't understand why these packages they install from the AUR just stop working all of a sudden. Well, it's because you just did a huge update of all your tool chains, and now this thing that you installed from the AUR, which depends on all these things, it's looking for a library or it's looking for a dependency package that's not there anymore. So it has to be rebuilt against the new tool chain.
The new versions, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So-
Well, I'm going to drop, guys. So,
Yep, me too. I think
y'all
I'm
have
going to
a good
stop
one.
the stream.
all right. See you, everybody.
All right, we'll
ya.
see everybody next week. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern whatever
12.
time.
12:30 a.m. IST.
Oh, boy.
You lost me.
Yep.
But yeah,
really
no,
late or really early. We're not sure.
do the due diligence to convert that to your local time zone, and there you will find us. So
It is 1 hour behind, if I'm not correct, from 1:30. It was 1:30 a.m. before
there you go.
Indian Standard Time.
Okay. See you guys.
We lost Joe
See ya.
already.
Bye bye.
See